The First Minister and Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross clashed over the controversial hate crime bill at FMQs, as the SNP leader was accused of labelling every critic of it, including senior cops and legal figures, as bad faith actors. Humza Yousaf has been accused of describing the majority of Scots as bad faith actors, as he was labelled the only person in Scotland who seems to think the Hate Crime Act is working well. A row broke out at First Minister's questions over the controversial legislation. The SNP leader brought the legislation through Holyrood as Justice Secretary, but since it commenced on April 1, Police Scotland have been inundated with thousands of complaints. More than 9,000 were recorded in the country in the first 2 weeks, with less than 500 actually being investigated as crimes. It has also been subject to stark criticism from legal experts and cops themselves, with thousands in public cash set to be spent on overtime for call centre staff who need to deal with the complaints. Lord Hope described it as gesture politics, and the Scottish Police Federation said that officers were struggling to cope with the influx of complaints. Scottish Tory leader Douglas Ross claimed that Mr Yousaf was the only person in Scotland who thinks the act has been a success so far, pointing to opinion polls which say 2/3 of Scots are against it. In response, the First Minister accused critics of the bill as bad faith actors. Mr Ross said, "We warned this law was too vague, it was poorly defined, it wouldn't work. Now Scotland's legal experts have said the same." Alistair Bonington, Hun Professor of Law at Glasgow Uni, said the law was extremely dangerous and could see entirely respectable and reasonable citizens prosecuted for expressing viewpoints which the law would allow in almost every country in the world. Like the Scottish Conservatives, Lord Hope has called for the Hate Crime Act to be repealed. Why does Humza Yousaf think that he's right and legal experts are wrong? And public opinion is already against Humza Yousaf's law. A recent poll found that over 2/3 of Scots thought his act should be repealed. Why does Humza Yousaf think that he's right and the public are wrong? Humza Yousaf is describing opponents of his hate crime act as bad faith actors. That's 2/3 of Scotland. Humza Yousaf is insisting everything is going well, just like with the ferries he couldn't get to float, the trains he couldn't get to run on time, and the waiting lists that grew on his watch. We warned him all of these problems would happen. We warned the police would be overwhelmed, the law was poorly written, it would put free speech at risk. Humza Yousaf dismissed every valid criticism. The police, legal experts and the public are telling him that he has got this badly wrong. The only person in Scotland who seems to think this act is working well is Humza Yousaf. How on earth can the First Minister say that his act has been a success?